Ham, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lewis, thank you for sitting with us. So, was there a 911 call made in this case?
Yes, sir.
And did dispatch alert police officers about that call?
Yes, we did.
Did police officers respond to that call?
Yes.
Thank you. Pass it.
No questions.
Okay, Ms. Lewis, you may step down, but I must inform you that the rule has been invoked, and you are ordered to leave the courtroom and not re-enter unless instructed to do so by the bailiff or me. You are not to discuss the case or your testimony with other witnesses or anyone else except the attorneys, and you are not to read any report or comment on the testimony or evidence in this case. Any witness violating this rule or this instruction is subject to being held in contempt of court. Okay, Ms. Lewis, you may step down, follow the bailiff, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Mr. Hammond, you'd like to call your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The state calls Jessica Barber.
Jessica Barber. Okay. For the record, would you please state your full name?
Jessica Barber.
Ms. Barber, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Barber, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may put your hand down. Ms. Barber, just have a seat. He needs to change the mic cover. Okay, and you could adjust the mic and your chair. Mr. Ham, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Barber.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, we met for the first time this morning, correct?
We did.
Nice to see you. Would you please take a minute and introduce yourself to the jury
Okay.
and explain to the members what your job is?
Okay. My name is Jessica Barber. I work in the property office. I'm the property supervisor. I've been with the department about 10 years. Been with the property office probably closer to 6, 7 years. Not the best at my timing, but in the property office, what we do is we take in the property that is submitted from calls and we hold it and we preserve it. And ultimately, depending on the outcome, eventually we'll be in charge of disposing it as well.
So you're aware why we're here today, Ms. Barber, right?
Yes, sir.
And the Beaumont property evidence room, did it have some evidence that it was storing and preserving related to this case?
Yes, sir. We had 3 forms of evidence.
3 forms of evidence, okay, and I could not notice that you carried the 3 forms of evidence in your hands on the way in.
Yes, sir.
Okay, could you please take those one by one and maybe just set them up on the ledge before you, and as you do, maybe just explain to the members of the jury what that is.
Okay. I'll do it in order. This was item number 1. It is a Bud Light can. It does say that it was open, so I don't know if there was any alcohol in it at the time. But
I'm not objecting, she's
now-
testifying without that being admitted into evidence. She's saying what it says is it's open or whatever.
Okay, let's just.
Object,
stick to the-
okay, objection sustained.
Thank you.
Mr. Ham, you may
All right,
proceed.
and let me back up a minute. Just, maybe just say what's on the label of
Okay.
that.
I think
The like-
if you could identify them is the question. I don't know, but can you identify?
Mr. Kimler, he
I
is,
understand. Wait, I'll finish.
Yeah, but-
Can you identify this exhibit?
okay, but,
Which I'm not gonna.
Mr. Ham is, has the witness on
Yes.
direct, and so he can ask the questions until you can take the witness on cross over there. But at this time, Mr. Ham, has the witness on direct. So Mr. Ham, you may proceed.
Thank you. Maybe that is a better way to ask it. Could you please identify what is in that big yellow envelope laying on the ledge?
Every item that comes into the property office will come already packaged and sealed by the officer that has submitted it. I don't know what's inside of it. I can only tell you what the officer has put in to be the contents of the packaging. So the officer, when she logged it in, said that this package is a 12-ounce Bud Light can, and then she put in parentheses, opened. So that's this one.
Okay,
Item number 2 is a Fuzzy's Tacos receipt. And then item number,
before we go on, what makes you say that what's in that envelope is a Fuzzy's Tacos?
because that is how she entered it when she put it into the system.
I'm gonna object to her testifying what's in, again, she's testifying, not identifying what these are. So it would be non-responsive. These are items that were submitted to property by an officer from DPD. This individual doesn't have the knowledge to state what they are. She can say that what they contain. She can identify them as being objects that were submitted into property by BPD. Beyond that, I would object that is speculation or based upon hearsay, what she's testifying that these things actually contain, what they are, where they derive from, or what they are. This is
Okay, so you're saying-
this is a property custodian from BPD who has had objects submitted to her by somebody. And if she's reading on what that was on the submittal form, substantively testifying to what these things actually are, then that's going to be hearsay. And it also, again, violates the right to confront and cross-examine about these objects. I don't have any problem with her identifying these were things that were submitted like a chain of custody type of thing. But if she's going to testify to what they are, I would object that that's speculation and violates hearsay.
Okay. Mr. Ham?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I would respectfully request that the court ask Mr. Kimler to object instead of lecture.
I've objected to sidebar, Your Honor. I think I'm entitled to
Okay.
succinctly explain the objections.
Okay.
To let the court know what they are. That's my problem with this mode of interrogation or questioning this property custodian about substantively about the contents of these things.
Okay, now, 2 things, no sidebar. The other thing is objections has to be, it not only just succinct, but they has to be made at the time of the time that the event happened. So the main thing about it, what we have to do is make sure that we keep the court decorum, make sure that we do not have any sidebar, make sure we do not interrupt other lawyers while that lawyer has the floor, and we would not allow lawyers to testify during an objection. You can make your objection, and then we'll give the other side a chance to respond, and then the court will make a ruling. So at this time, the court is going to sustain your objection, so you can rephrase your question, Mr. Ham.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, Ms. Barber, let's go back to that big envelope. Okay. So can you explain to the jury what all that tape on that is and what that means with respect to the Belmont property?
The way we get all of our evidence is completely sealed by the officer that collects it. So the way that we preserve the evidence is by not opening it once it's been turned in. So this seal was from the officer that actually originally turned it in. It has the date on it, it has the case number, and then it also has the officer's initials.
And let me stop there. So you said how long you worked for the property. How long did you work there? Have you worked there?
At least 5 years.
So are you familiar with the policies, practices, and procedures of the Beaumont property room?
Correct.
With respect to the Beaumont Police Department? Okay. Just explain to the jury, if you could walk them through step by step. The Beaumont Police Department property room's procedures with respect to an officer bringing evidence and the Beaumont property room storing evidence. How does that happen?
Okay. They will select it from their call, and they will bring it to the police department where they will package it as fitted. Whatever, we have brown paper bags. If it's a bigger item, we have manila envelopes of all sizes. They will put it in a package and seal it with the Beaumont Police Department evidence tape. After they seal it, they put their case number, they put their date, and then they put their initials that actually show that they were the ones that sealed it. And the way we preserve it is by not opening it from its original state.
So what is the purpose of the sealing?
Basically, just so that we can preserve it the way that it was collected.
Okay, and has whatever's in that manila envelope there, has that been sealed in accordance with the policies, practices, and procedures of the Beaumont Police Department property room?
Yes, sir.
It has. Okay, now there's a white, we got label, not that box, but the label on the envelope.
Oh, yes, this is the label that we put on afterwards. So when an officer collects their property and they package it, they also have to enter it into our database saying exactly what it is, which that's where we get the 12-ounce Bud Light can and then parentheses open. It is Officer Yarbrough that put that into the computer system saying that this is what this item is.
So to be clear, you don't know if there's a 12-ounce Bud Light can in that envelope or not.
No.
Because you haven't opened it envelope.
Correct.
And again, why do you think that there might be a 12-ounce Bud Light can in this?
Because when she put it in the system,
Again, I'm gonna object until this is admitted into evidence. To going into, this is beyond identifying this is testifying about this exhibit. It hasn't been admitted into evidence. And I'm gonna object to the extent he's attempting to elicit testimony about this without offering this into evidence, further testimony, other than identifying what it is.
Mr. Ham? What's your response?
We're just laying part of the foundation, we hope, for the eventual admission into evidence of whatever's in that envelope.
Okay, objection sustained. Sam, you may move on.
Yes, sir. Have you reviewed the seal on this envelope? Have you reviewed the seal that's on this
Mhm.
envelope?
yes, sir.
Okay. Has it remained sealed?
Yes.
And has this envelope remained in the care, custody, and control of the Beaumont Police Department property room since it was entered by an officer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what was the name of the officer that brought this piece of whatever it is?
It was Officer Yarbrough.
That Officer Sheena Yarbrough?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. All right. And what is you had another envelope with you, right?
yes, sir.
Okay, again, we're not sure what's in that envelope,
Correct.
but has that envelope been sealed and kept in accordance with the policies, practices, and procedures of the Beaumont Police Department property room?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and has that seal been broken since it's remained in the custody of the property room?
No, sir.
Okay, so whatever Officer Yarbrough, and again, is this another item that Officer Yarbrough brought to the,
Yes, sir.
it is? And is it related to this incident?
It is.
How do you know it's related to this incident?
Because she logged in it under that specific case number.
What's the case number?
2020 014407.
Okay, is that written somewhere on that object?
It is on the envelope, which is on her evidence seal, sealing it shut.
Okay, and it's remained sealed.
Mhm.
Could you please put that on the list? Okay, and that other bigger envelope, does it also have this case number?
Yes,
Okay,
it is right here on the evidence seal.
okay, thank you. All right, and you had a third object.
I did.
Okay.
It is a blood kit.
Okay, it is a blood kit.
Mhm.
Okay, could you please, in general, explain to the jury Beaumont Property Room's policies, practices, and procedures with respect to the collection and storage of blood kits?
We, so the officers have all of their items that they may need for the packaging, the envelopes, the paper bags, including blood kits. The blood kits that we put out there for the officers to take when they need it are, they come sealed. So when they pick them up and take them, they're sealed already. It is the officer that takes them to the scene or whatever the case may be. And then they will bring them back. And when they bring them back, there is a seal inside the box that they reseal it after it's completed. And then they turn it in sealed to us.
Okay, so, I mean, is it okay if you pick up that box?
Yeah.
It's not hazardous or anything, right? Okay, all right. And does it have some tape on it,
It does,
like you explained? I
yes.
see a red line of tape and then there's another line of tape. What
It is kind of
what in
difficult
general-
to see.
Okay, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, it is kind of difficult to see, but there is a longer piece of red tape here. That is the original seal for when they, when it comes to us, it comes sealed shut. So the officer will have to cut that seal to be able to get to the contents inside the box. And then when the officer is done and puts the contents back in the box, she put another red seal here and put her, her date and her initials on this seal.
All right, so let's take it step by step. So this is a blood kit that, what is this blood kit used by police officers for?
DWI charges.
Okay, for the collection of blood specimens. And so it's the policy, practice, and procedures for Beaumont Police Department for the officer to get that blood kit, but then they're gonna have to open it, right?
Correct.
Okay, and that, you said that's when they break the first seal?
Mhm.
Okay. And then what happens after it's first opened? Does it get resealed again?
She will reseal it before she gives it over to the property office.
Okay, and then it goes back to the property owner.
Correct.
Okay. Once it gets returned to the property office, what does the property office do with that blood?
When a blood kit is turned in, the officer will also fill out a lab submittal if they are requesting any kind of further testing for it. In this particular case, a lab submittal was filled out with it, and once a week, the property office will take all of the evidence that we have with a lab submittal to the Jefferson County Crime Lab, where it gets further tested from there.
Okay, so after the officer gives it to the property office, but before it goes to the lab, it's in the property office's possession. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and how do you store it?
In the refrigerator. It is in the property office secured, but in our refrigerator until it goes to the lab.
Okay, so it's in your refrigerator.
Mhm.
All right. And then it goes to the lab, you said?
Correct.
Okay, and then when's the next time the property office would typically see a blood kit?
After the lab is done, when we make our lab trips, we're bringing in new evidence. If the lab is done with any kind of evidence that they're ready for us to take back, they'll also give us stuff back in return. So we will get it back after they've completed it, and we will bring it back to the station at that point.
So they do whatever they do with it at the lab, and then you get it back?
Correct.
Okay, and then is there another piece of tape on it after that?
Yes, sir. It does come back sealed, and the yellow tape is the tape that the Jefferson County Lab uses.
And is there anything on that blood kit that indicates what case it relates to?
Yes, sir. Our stickers on it.
Okay, is it related to this case?
It is.
How do you know?
Our case numbers on it.
Okay, and so when it came back from the lab, it had that extra seal on it, right?
Mhm.
Okay, does it still have that extra seal on it?
It does.
Okay, and has it remained in the custody of the Beaumont Police Property Room since it came back from the Jefferson County Crime Lab?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and has anybody broken the seal since it came back from the Jefferson County Crime Lab?
No, sir.
Okay, so that is the blood kit that relates to this DWI case.
Correct.
Did you have anything else you brought with you?
It's just the copy of the lab submittal that Officer Yarbrough had submitted, and it has the date that I brought it to the lab.
Thank you. One moment.
Sure.
All right, pass it.
Okay, Mr. Kimler, you may proceed. Yes,
If we were, I think we, maybe
You
when I
look familiar.
picked up the phone, I think.
Okay, yes, absolutely.
Ma'am, let him finish. Don't talk when he's talking. Okay, one at a time. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
We're being overly congenial. I think we have that before. Just to be clear, personal knowledge, right? Personal knowledge, we can agree is when you actually see something and know it, right?
Correct.
You don't have personal knowledge of Officer Yarbrough. You didn't see her seal the envelope and put it in the box. You're just going on what it says
I'm going by
in the
when,
policy procedure.
I'm going by her evidence tape. And then when she put it in the locker, she puts her paper identifying which item goes with which envelope.
So would you agree that you don't have personal knowledge that she actually did that because you didn't see her?
I did not see her.
In most circumstances, I think we could agree that the officer would be able to come in and say, yes, I did that, I sealed it, I submitted it.
Sure.
That's how it's normally done.
Mhm.
So the same would hold true with State's Exhibit 2. You don't have personal knowledge of, her actually submitting it or collecting it or anything that has to do. I'm sorry.
No,
I
sir,
keep
I did
forgetting.
not. I know, I'm trying.
So you didn't see hers, obviously, you didn't see her collect it, you didn't see her put it in the envelope, you didn't see her seal it or submit it or anything.
Correct,
You just know that you brought this from the property office, correct?
correct.
And everything looks official, untampered with, right? Same with State's Exhibit 1, these are all in proper order, no appearance of tampering with the envelope or anything like that.
Correct.
Correct. But as far as what's the contents of States 1, how that was collected, how it's relevant, what it relates to, you have no knowledge of that, right?
No, sir.
And you have no personal knowledge, and actually, Officer Yarbrough was the one that put whatever's in here in States Exhibit 1, correct? Because you didn't see her do it.
All I can go by is what's on the evidence tape, which is her initials.
Concern issues. And those are, I guess, here,
Yes, sir.
SCY. Right. We have her name on the mark. Right.
Correct.
And with the blood kit, so we have her initials, or have initials. Where are they? If you can show me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Maybe we have the same, well, actually, we have a name, S. Yarbrough written on here. And then we have the return address indicative of her name as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, this is State's Exhibit 3, I guess. Is this marked?
that never was.
This one wasn't marked. All right. The blood kit. As far as your role, I mean, you're familiar with the term chain of custody, right? As far as your position in the chain of custody regarding the blood kit, were you the one that, well, let me back up. When the blood kit is submitted to the property office, how is that submitted? Done?
The lab submittal,
No, the actual blood kit, how is that submitted to the property office of BPD?
it is what she'll bring in the box itself. She'll seal it.
Right,
And then because the property office is closed at this particular incident happened after we were closed. So
Right.
what she did was after she entered it into our database saying that it's in the system, she locks it up in a lockbox in the refrigerator that's just outside the property office.
and again, we're assuming she's the one that did it, but we don't know, but just assuming it was. So is that where you collected it from?
We collected it from the refrigerator outside the property office.
Did you collect it or who collected it?
I'd have to go back and look at the computer to see who exactly, there's 4 of us in the office, so it's,
So you're not testifying that you're the one that removed it from the lockbox at the property, is that right?
correct.
But you're able to testify that that lockbox is refrigerated? Have to answer yes or
Yes,
yes. What's the temperature? And again, I'm not being petty, but there are requirements. What's the temperature?
I would have to look at the refrigerator. I don't know what the temperature is in that specific refrigerator.
How is the lockbox attached to the refrigerator such that the refrigeration actually is able to permeate around the blood sample when it's submitted?
It is a metal lockbox, and the lockboxes are just on top of the refrigerator. And so when they put in the blood kit from in the box and lock it up, that's when they put it in the refrigerator.
So it drops down into the refrigerator?
No, sir. The box is separate, so they can take the box and put it on the counter and then put the box or put the evidence in the box. And that's when they lock it up and then set it in the refrigerator.
Oh, I see. I think I understand. So they actually open the refrigerator, there's a lockbox inside the refrigerator. You open it up, so then you could assume that the refrigeration is going to permeate within the lockbox to keep the samples in the condition that they're required to be tested. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then, are you able to testify how long Beaumont Property kept this blood kit before it was transferred to the crime lab?
She turned it in on July the 30th. It was submitted into or we put our label on it the following day, July 31st.
Okay,
And then I transported it to the lab on August 13th.
so it stayed in Beaumont Property for 2 weeks approximately?
Yes, sir.
And we can, I don't want to assume, but it was in the refrigerator the entire time? Or do you-
Absolutely.
You're certain of that?
Yes, sir.
In the lockbox, I guess?
Not in the lockbox. The lockbox is merely to secure the property from being tampered with by other officers. Once we take in the evidence, we put it in a separate refrigerated.
In property?
Yes,
Right.
in property.
And so it would have stayed in that refrigerator and property until August 13th, when you personally transported it to the Jefferson County Crime Lab.
Correct.
And then as far as what occurred at the crime lab, we're gonna have to hear from the crime lab person.
That's correct.
And then did you pick it up from the crime lab and bring it back to the property?
I did not.
That was somebody else.
Yes, sir.
Do you know who or not?
Yes, sir. It was my coworker Maria.
You're going by, again, documentation, I guess. You didn't really, again, personal knowledge, you didn't see her do it, you just going.
No, sir. When we go to the lab, we have to sign for it, so there should be a signature on file.
When did it come back to property?
September the 17th.
So roughly a month at the crime lab. That's what.
Mr. Ham?
There are no further questions.
Okay. Ms. Barber, the rule has been invoked, and basically what that means is that you are ordered, once you leave the courtroom, you are not allowed to re-enter unless instructed to do so by the bailiff or myself. You are not to discuss the case or your testimony with other witnesses or anyone else except the attorney. You're not to read any newspaper reports or any reports or comments on the testimony or evidence in this case. Any witness violating these rules can be held in contempt of court. So at this time, we're going to ask that you step down. May this witness be excused?
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, so you're free to go. You have a blessed day and follow the bailiff.
Thank you.
And,
Leave this-
Your Honor, ask if she just leave those items there. We're going to be offering the evidence later through another means.
Okay. You may step down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to take a recess. And so just You can follow the bailiff outside. Make sure you do not talk to any of the witnesses in the case. Okay.